Hi, my name's Rebecca, and this is my piano studio. I'm so glad you're here with me today. In this video and on this channel, we spend a lot of time talking about how to make music on the piano every single time that you sit down, whether you know how to read music or not. I hope that reading music is something that you are striving to do, but even if you are a beginner, this is a great place to start. This video is inspired by this comment, and so what we're going to do today is we're going to dig into the right hand and what exactly to do with your right hand. If you're interested in breaking down this beautiful chord progression, make sure to check out the video that is in the description box below that breaks down this beautiful chord progression into bite-sized chunks so that even if you're a beginner, you will learn very quickly how to play in the key of E minor and play this chord progression. For this video, we're going to talk a lot more about different patterns that you can play with your right hand. So some people get stuck with what exactly to do with the left hand, so I'll give you a pattern that I like to do the most in my left hand. But then for today, we're going to be working on the right hand, how we can use passing tones, some different patterns, and some inversions in an octave, which is a set of 8 notes, and then going outside of the octave also. It seems like a lot, especially if you're a beginner, but I love to go step by step, starting easier and going up to the more complicated so that you can play along with me. I hope that you do actually play along with me, and let me know in comments below if there's anything that you're struggling with or you would like me to address in future videos. Thank you so much to those of you who have bought me a coffee. I truly appreciate it. You help me get through the day, and it's such a great way to support me, and I'm just so thankful. So before we begin with this chord progression, let's talk about the key signature for the key of E minor. I like to always begin with a scale because a scale will tell you, it tells your fingers which notes to play and which notes to skip. And it also gives your ear somewhere to go when you actually begin playing as well. A sharp is one note up from the original note, whether that note is black or white. So in this case, we have one sharp, which is an F sharp. So instead of playing an F, we're going to play the note that's right to the right of it, which is this black one. So we'll skip the F and play this one. So here is the E minor natural scale. It's worth noting here that there are different kinds of minor scales, but this is the natural key signature, which is what we're using today, which is just the one sharp in the key of E minor. So here's the entire chord progression in triad stacked form. We start with an E minor, to a D major, to a B minor, to a C major. One more time, E minor, D major, B minor, C major. In your left hand, you have many options of what you can do. A lot of people get stuck with what exactly to do in the left hand. So we start with a stacked chord. You can just stick with stacked chords, or you can do representative chords, which is what I like to do a lot of the time. So a representative chord is when you take two notes, which is the octave, to represent the chord. So the chord is E minor. We know that the notes are E, G, and B. But for right now, we're going to do just an octave of the E minor. And then we're going to take the fifth of the chord, which is not the G, it is the B, and put that down in the middle. Right now, I want to do representative chords for all of these 4 chords in the key of E minor, and I'm going to arpeggiate them. And I'll use my pedals so that it all gets blurred together, which is a much better sound. So here's our E minor, D major, B minor, and C major. Okay. So the first thing that we can do in our right hand is to make a triad of the actual chord. So we're doing the representation of the chord in our left hand, and then in the right hand, we're going to create that chord in just a triad form, just the stacked chord for now. So first we begin with our E minor, and we know that is E, G, and B. Okay, so we have E, G, B. Let's look at them first, and then I'll show you how we're going to add them. And then we go to a D major, D, F sharp, A. Then we go to a B minor, B, D, F sharp. And then to a C major, C, E, G. So the only thing that we're going to do to start is to arpeggiate them. Arpeggios just mean that you are playing one note at a time. Now, it doesn't always mean that you start at the bottom and go to the top like this. It can be any of the notes in between, but for right now, I want to think of going from the bottom to the top and then from the top to the bottom. So it's going to be like this. And then switch over. And then D. And then come back down. B minor. And C. Now again, we're starting simpler and then we're going to make it harder as we go along. So to begin, let's add both of our hands at the same time, just doing those arpeggios. Here we go. And then end on our E minor. Okay, so that was a super easy, simple pattern just to get used to the chords. Now all we're going to do in the right hand, we're going to keep the same left hand pattern, and we're going to add one more note to the right hand, which is the octave. Okay, so instead of doing the E minor with E, G, and B only, we're going to now add an E at the top. So it's going to be like this. Then go to the D with D on top, then B minor, and then C. So now let's put this together with our 4 notes instead. So the same way that I also did it at the end, we can also do that where you hold them. You start at the bottom and you hold it. That might be too much for your hand if you're not used to doing 4 notes at the same time, but you could just try it. So I'm showing you all the patterns first because then when you go to actually noodle with your right hand and figure something out, you can take any of these choices and add them together. So it doesn't all have to be the same with the 4-note arpeggio. That's just where I want you to begin. Our second technique is using the notes of the E minor scale. So remind yourself the E minor scale contains all white notes except for the F, which we do the F sharp instead. So don't play the F ever, but make sure that we're always playing the F sharp. So the key here is essentially we're playing with just our 5 fingers in a row. For whatever note the chord is in the left, that's the note we're going to start on. So for our E in the left hand, we're going to start E here, and we're going to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in the right hand. So it'll look like this. So we're going for the E minor chord. Okay, like that. And then we're going to go down to the D chord. So then we're going to move our entire 5 fingers down 1 to go to the D, and then we're going to play 5 fingers this way. And then for the B minor, We move down here. We have our 5 finger on this F. This one doesn't sound as great as the other ones, but I still want you to do it for the purpose of this exercise because it's still teaching your hands how to play in this key. And then we go to C, so move your 5 fingers up. So now let's put it together with our left hand. So we start here with our 5 finger pattern starting on E minor. So the 5 finger pattern is going to help you a lot. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take that same 5 finger pattern and we're going to cut out one of the notes. This one is actually my favorite one to do. I use this a lot in my improvisation. So the note that we're going to cut out for almost all of these chords is your number 4 finger. So we're going to still keep our hand in the 5 finger position, but when we get to number 4, we're going to skip over it and go up to number 5. So we're doing 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 3, 2, 1 for each one. 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 3, 2, 1. And now we're going to go down to D. So move down to D. 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 3, 2, 1. For the B minor, we're actually going to change things just a little bit. We're going to actually make it 1, 3, 4, 5. It just sounds a little bit better, and so that's why I've decided to do that. But let's do 1, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 1, skipping the 2. And then we go to the C, so move up 1 to the 5 finger C position. 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 3, 2, 1. And then we're back to our E minor. So let's put this hands together with this little pattern. Another pattern that is pretty easy is still keeping our hands in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 position for each one of these chords. But instead of playing anything in between, we're simply doing the 1, 5, 1, 5, 1 for each one. So we'll do E, B, E, B, E, and then move down to D, D, A, D, A, D, and like that for all of them. So let's try this hands together. D, B minor, C. To make things just a little bit more filled in, we're going to now do a 1, 5, 1 with the octave instead. So this time you're going to have your thumb and your pinky or your 1 and your 5 finger on the octave of the chord, and we're going to put the 5 in the middle. And then for the D, like that. All right, let's try this hands together. D, B minor, to C, and back to the E. I'm going to give you a couple more options of things that you can do with your right hand, and this time we're going to be including 2 octaves at one time. This is a very good exercise if you find yourself being stuck within an octave only, too afraid to move out of it. We're going to be moving our hands from one octave to the other with octaves. So here's what I mean. So we're going to start out with our octave of the chord, so E minor, and then we're going to hit the 5 in the middle, which is the B, and then move your hand up to the next octave. Okay, so watch that again. So we go octave, 5, octave. And so your hand does not flail around. Sometimes I used to find myself, when I was trying to move octaves, I would play the first one and then I would kind of do this, trying to figure out where I was going. If you look at your first octave, your pinky here is on that E. If you just with your eyeballs realize that your thumb is going to the same place that your pinky was, it helps you to not flail around that way. Okay, so look at your pinky as you're playing. So you do the first octave and then pop up to the next one. D. Okay, so let's now put this hands together and then I'll show you the way to fill it out a little bit more. D. B minor, C, and then end on D. So once you get that feeling of your hand moving back and forth, we're now going to do it with the chord on top. I'm going to do a full octave chord. So it is the entire triad with the octave on top. And you can either do it as a full chord like this, or you can arpeggiate it from the bottom. So let's try it. Let's give this a try. So we do the octave, 5th, and then the chord. The last thing I'd like to mention are inversions in the right hand. So inversions mean that you take a chord, we'll do the E minor, and if you play the E, the G, and the B, that is an E minor chord. If you take off the E and you put it at the top, that is still an E minor chord. It's just called the inversion of it. We can do one more where we take the G and put that at the top, and that is also an inversion. So all of these are legitimate E minor inversions. So now what I'd like you to try, and you might want to slow way down for this, but that's okay. Slowing down is okay. You're going to do it hands together, but you're going to do inversions up and then those same inversions back down. It's important to go back down too, because a lot of times we get stuck going one way and then your hand gets stuck in the octave that it's in. It's because we don't like to move with our hands, because we want to be in control. But that's what this exercise is to work on inversions going up and inversions going down. So for example, I'll do the E. We're going to do the root position chord, first inversion, second inversion, and then root again, and then come back down. And then go to our next one, our D chord. And so forth for all of them. So let's now put this hands together, and this might take a little bit of practice, but don't be afraid of practice. Practice can actually be fun if you know you're working towards something. All right, so here we go from the beginning with our inversions up and our inversions down. It's been great having you here today and talking about the right hand, and I hope that this video is extremely helpful for you as you are learning to play in different chord progressions. And just like all of the rest of my videos, we're choosing different keys that we are playing in. Today just happened to be the key of E minor, which is a relative to G major. However, if you look at the playlist that I have listed below in the description box, it'll tell you all about the circle of fifths, and we're working our way around the circle of fifths both clockwise and counterclockwise. So we're adding sharps or adding flats depending on which direction that we're going. Soon you will be able to play in all of the different keys, and it just is a change in how you think about which keys to play and which keys not to play in the piano. So have fun. I'll look forward to seeing you in my next video.